everyone. Remember those doing business rankings? You know, the ones countries were always kind of obsessed with?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Well, get ready for a shakeup because they're gone.
Out with the old, in with the new. Right.
Exactly. We're diving into the Business Ready report. Be ready for those in the know. This brand new World Bank report that's like the doing business successor, but way more comprehensive.
It's a pretty big shift.
So tell me, what was wrong with the old doing business report anyway? Why the need for this big change?
Well, it had its limitations.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was hyper-focused on regulations.
Yeah.
But regulations only tell part of the story.
Right, because a country could have fantastic laws on the books, but actually doing business there.
Could be nightmare.
Exactly, a total nightmare.
Like, imagine trying to solve a Rubik's Cube blindfolded with one hand tied behind your back.
Okay, maybe not that bad.
Okay, well, you get the idea.
You get it, I get it.
So that's where Be Ready swoops in with this way more holistic approach.
Okay, I like where this is going. Tell me more.
So it evaluates economies based on not one, not two, but three key pillars.
3 pillars. All right, lay it on me.
Pillar 1.
Yeah.
Regulatory framework.
Okay.
Think of it as the rule book, right?
Makes sense.
Pillar 2. Public services.
Mm-hmm.
How well does a government actually support its businesses? We're talking digital services, infrastructure, the whole shebang.
So, like, does your business have access to reliable electricity? Can you get permits without, selling your soul?
Exactly.
Okay, so it's not just about having the rules, it's about having the tools and support to actually use them.
You got it. And that brings us to Pillar 3.
Hit me.
Operational efficiency. And this one gets down to brass tacks. It brings in real-world data, asking businesses directly, how smoothly do things really work around here?
Oh, I like that. So it's like judging a recipe by its ingredient list versus, actually tasting the food.
Now you're getting it.
Okay, I'm hooked. Now I need to know, what kind of juicy insights did they find when they applied this new framework?
Well, one of the big, and this is important, big takeaways is that there's often this disconnect between a country's regulations and their ability to actually deliver the supporting public services. They actually call it, the public services gap.
The public services gap. So wait, even countries with like really developed economies, they can struggle with this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Think of it like this. It's like having a state-of-the-art car,
Okay.
but no roads to drive it on. You've got the potential, but you can't actually utilize it.
Wow, that's a really good analogy.
And this gap, it exists across regions and income levels. It's everywhere.
So it's not just about writing good rules, it's about building the whole system around those rules.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that's not to say there aren't any bright spots.
Oh.
The report actually highlights some countries that are really punching above their weight class, especially when it comes to public services and operational efficiency.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Give me some examples. Who's doing this well?
Rwanda, for one.
Yeah.
They've done a remarkable job creating a supportive business environment, especially considering their income level.
That's impressive. Anyone else?
Colombia and Georgia are worth mentioning, too.
Okay.
Colombia shines in both regulatory framework and public services.
Double whammy.
Exactly. Whereas Georgia, they stand out more for their regulatory framework and operational efficiency.
Interesting. So it's like there are valuable lessons to be learned from countries at all different stages of development.
Absolutely. Be Ready really shows that a country's economic status isn't the only factor determining their business environment success.
Okay, I'm really starting to see why this report is such a big deal. It's not just like, a bunch of data and charts. It's like a roadmap.
Yeah.
A roadmap for countries to create business environments that actually work. It really is.
And it gets even more interesting, when you see how Be Ready dives into these, 3 huge themes
Okay.
that are transforming the business landscape.
Okay.
Digital adoption, environmental sustainability, and gender. Big stuff.
Big stuff indeed. All right, well, let's unpack these a bit. Let's start with digitalization. We already touched on Estonia and Croatia's awesome digital custom system, but what else did the report uncover about the power of going digital?
Well, it turns out those two countries are kind of part of this, global trend,
Right.
where technology is creating this competitive edge by, streamlining processes for businesses.
Right.
However, the report found a wide variation in the availability of these digital public services worldwide.
So some countries are like racing ahead,
Yeah,
while others are stuck in the digital slow lane.
totally. Yeah, high-income countries are generally leading the charge, but even they have room for improvement.
Right.
No one's cracked the code perfectly yet.
Fascinating. So it seems like even in our increasingly digital world, there are still those bureaucratic hurdles, those paperwork nightmares lurking out there for businesses?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. What about environmental sustainability? What's the story there?
Well, this is where things get really interesting. The report uncovered this, uh, I guess you could call it a surprising trend in environmental permitting.
Okay.
So while many countries have strong environmental regulations in theory, on paper,
Right.
putting those regulations into practice,
Yeah.
whole different story.
Okay, so similar to the to that public services gap we talked about, it's one thing to talk the talk,
Right.
but it's another to walk the walk when it comes to environmental regulation.
Exactly. And get this. The report found that on average, it takes longer to get environmental permits in high-income countries with their, theoretically stricter regulations
Yeah.
than in low and lower middle income countries.
Wait, really? That seems counterintuitive. You'd think those countries with more resources, stricter rules would be faster at this.
Right.
What's going on there?
It's a great question. And it just goes to show that good intentions don't always translate to efficient implementation.
Right.
There's often this disconnect between, like, having the regulations on the books and then the actual processes happening on the ground.
Makes sense.
The report kind of suggests that, maybe it's bureaucracy,
Yeah.
complexity, might be slowing things down in those high-income countries.
Right, yeah. So sometimes those well-intentioned regulations can actually create these unintended bottlenecks.
Exactly.
So stricter doesn't always mean better, I guess, when it comes to environmental permitting.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What about gender? What insights did the report offer about the role of gender in the business environment?
So um, this is where data gaps become a real challenge.
Okay.
There's simply not enough information available to really fully grasp how these gender disparities are playing out in the business world.
So we're potentially missing some crucial insights into how women might experience the business environment differently
Yeah, unfortunately.
than men.
Yeah, but the data we do have reveals we've got work to do. For example, very few countries have what you would call really robust, gender-inclusive public procurement policies,
Okay.
which means that women-owned businesses.
Yeah.
They often face this much steeper uphill battle when they're competing for government contracts and things like that.
So they're missing out on valuable opportunities to really, grow and thrive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this highlights, I think, a key takeaway from the Be Ready report. Creating a business environment that truly works means making sure everyone has that equal shot at success.
It sounds like Be Ready isn't just about, boosting economies. It's about fostering inclusivity,
Yeah.
sustainability too. It's about creating a business landscape where everyone can thrive, not just a select few. Am I getting that right? You're
Yeah.
getting it. It's bigger than just the bottom line, right? It's about building a system that actually works for everyone.
Yeah, and that's what makes this report so much more than just a bunch of numbers on a page. It's a call to action for governments and policymakers to really step up and think differently about how they're creating these conditions for businesses to really thrive.
It's like they're providing a blueprint
Exactly.
for a more inclusive, more sustainable economic future.
Right. And one of the things the report really drives home
Mm.
is that a strong business environment, it doesn't just help businesses.
Right.
It helps everyone.
Yeah.
It creates jobs. It drives innovation. It can even contribute to a healthier planet.
It's about recognizing that a healthy business ecosystem can be a real force for positive change in the world.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to the heart of Be Ready, right? It's about moving beyond just measuring regulations
Yeah.
and actually understanding what it really takes to create a business environment that works in the real world for real people.
It's about looking beyond just the numbers and seeing the human impact of these policies.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the potential that exists when we empower individuals, when we foster innovation, when we create a level playing field for everyone.
Well said. Well, for our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive into the Business Ready report has given you a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Whether you're an entrepreneur, a policymaker, or just someone who cares about creating a better future, this report offers some really valuable insights
It does.
and a roadmap for positive change.
And remember, the report is just the starting point.
Right.
The real work begins when we take these findings and we use them, right? To have conversations, to challenge assumptions, to drive real action.
It's about taking this knowledge and turning it into tangible progress.
Absolutely, because
Yeah.
ultimately, creating a business environment that works for everyone, it's a shared responsibility. It requires all of us working together, coming up with new ideas, and committing to building that more inclusive and sustainable future.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep striving to make the world a better place, one business at a time.